Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of the Leadership is Also About podcast series conducted by the National Showcasing team of AIESEC in Sri Lanka. I would like to extend my thank you and warmest gratitude to the National Showcasing team of AIESEC in Sri Lanka for coming forward and setting up this amazing platform for us to be able to share our ideas and reflect on our leadership journey. And to begin this podcast, the topic that we are here to discuss today is demonstrating integrity as a core leadership value. And in order to do this, and in order to highlight this, I will be bringing forward two leaders from AIESEC in Sri Lanka. The first leader, Mr. Kaneel Dias, who is the local committee president of AIESEC in University of Colombo, term 2021. And accompanying him, the second guest speaker, Mr. Pium Pamuditha, local committee president of AIESEC in University of Moratuwa, term 2021. And moderating this session and hosting it is MI Arfan Nazar, Member Committee Vice President, Incoming Global Talent 2021. So, my first question is directed towards Mr. Kaneel. Kaneel, according to you, what is leadership? And is there anyone who inspired you to be a leader?
Hi, Arfan. So before I answer the question, I would like to thank the National Showcasing team of AIESEC in Sri Lanka for organizing this podcast series. It's a very good initiative, and I'm very glad to see something like this happening. And to Arfan as well, glad to have you as our host today. And to answer your question about what does leadership mean to me, for me, leadership would be about leading a very diverse team towards achieving united goals. So, because when you're leading any kind of team, usually not everyone in the team will think alike or act alike or behave the same. And everyone will have their own opinions and their own skills and different talents that they can showcase. So, a leader's responsibility would be to make sure that in spite of these differences, the team will work together and synergize together. Because you will have different people with different values, different principles, and different talents inside your team. It's your responsibility as a leader to make sure those individual people can come together and properly work as a team. And I think your second question was about who inspired me to become a leader. And regarding that, I don't think there was one single person. So talking about my AIESEC journey, I had the pleasure of being led by a lot of different leaders. So for example, my TLs when I was a member in IGV in AIESEC Colombo Central, and when I was TL, my LCVPs, and then when I was a LCVP, my LCP as well as my MCVPs. And currently, as an LCP, the entire member committee of AIESEC Sri Lanka, as well as my executive board as well, they have always been an inspiration for me to become a leader. And also outside of AIESEC, the seniors that I had the chance to interact with while in school and in university as well. And when I was doing sport, the captains and the other crewmates in my team, those people really inspired me to become a leader. And so I would say that my leadership style is very, I don't want to say the exact word, but it's like cut and paste of different types of people. So every person that I had the honor of being led by, I would usually take their good case practices or the good talents or good initiatives they have done and implement them into my own teams. So in a way, my leadership style is basically bits and pieces from different types of people. Yes. And so it's not just about the people that have led me. The people that I have led as well, they have changed me as a leader as well. So taking my current executive board as an example, every day I learn something new from them and how I can improve myself as a leader.
Thank you, Kaneel, for that insightful answer. I'm sure the audience got to know and understand more about your way of leadership. All right, I would like to direct the same question towards Pium. Pium, tell me, what does leadership mean to you? And is there anyone who has inspired you to become a leader?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Arfan. And once again, a huge thanks to the National Showcasing team of AIESEC in Sri Lanka to having this initiative. It's really appreciated. So, answering your question, Arfan, the first part of your question. So, leadership, talking about leadership, we all know that leadership is quite a broad subject. And since all of us are members of an organization which empowers youth leadership, it's always really better that we correctly understand what is leadership and how we can inspire others to be leaders also. So, talking about leadership, according to me, leadership means basically setting a direction initially, and then guiding a set of people towards that direction in the best possible way. So that's about leadership, in my opinion. So here, that best possible way means something like that. So if we take a set of people, there are quite a number of methods that we can handle that team towards a certain goal. So there are quite a number of methods. So the best possible way, possible way means something like that. So according to the leader and according to the other members of the team, there is a certain method that produces the best outcomes from each and every one of the team members. So handling the team and guiding the team members towards that goal in that method is something that we can call as leadership, according to myself. So then moving on, a good leader is always supposed to follow good leadership values as well. So in AIESEC also, we are having certain values that we are following all days in our all activities as well. So leaders are always supposed to follow those values. So in that case, all the followers also tend to respect those values and learn and act according to those values. So yeah, so the summing all these things up, finally, leadership is about initially making a direction, and then as a team, it's about how to work and act towards that goal in the best possible way in order to get the maximum effectiveness from every one of team members. So, and also a good leader is always supposed to inspire another set of leaders, regardless of what state they are in currently. So that's about the first part of the question. Then moving on towards the second part. In my case, there are a certain set of people, like Kaneel mentioned, that always help us to be leaders. But in my case, I choose something like that. It's more of an unintentional inspiration rather than just a person inspiring ourselves. This is more like I was getting inspired at a certain time after watching that person. So the person I chose was the former Sri Lankan cricketer Mahela Jayawardena. So if we take the character of Mahela Jayawardena and if we analyze that, we can always see that there are quite a number of people and quite a number of players in the modern era who have surpassed the records of Mahela and all those things. Like if you take the number of centuries scored by him and maybe the batting average and the total runs, there are quite a number of people who are going along in the same level or even surpassed him. But what stands, like if we consider about what stands out Mahela Jayawardena as a leader, it's always about inspiring another set of people. So during this era, we could see how much energy he brought into the game. And when working in a team and when working as the captain of the Sri Lankan national cricket team, we could see how he was inspiring all the youngsters to make them believe that they can make the real difference. So that's more of a leadership strategy. Like according to myself, like leadership is not about setting personal benchmarks or personal achievements. Like it's more of a inspirational position that you need to think about other persons as well. So yeah, that's why from the small times I was really inspired when cricket matches. So that's a certain instance that I was really inspired to be a leader in the future. Yeah, so that's the answer.
Thank you so much, Pium, for sharing your experience and definition of leadership, and also talking about your role model in life. Obviously, Mahela Jayawardena, the legendary former captain of the Sri Lankan national cricketing team. All right. Moving on with the podcast. My next question is directed towards Kaneel. Kaneel, integrity is a commonly used word, and especially amongst leaders, managers, and executives. From a leadership perspective, what does integrity mean to you?
Right. So right now, I think especially in like the corporate sector or even let's say the youth organizations, integrity has kind of like become a buzzword. People are using that word just for the sake of saying integrity. But to me personally, integrity is about being true to your own values and your own principles. And in the case of being a president of a university-based, student-based organization, it's about being true to that organization's values and principles as well, regardless of the circumstances. So in AIESEC, you come across a lot of situations which can challenge your principles. So as a leader, it would be your responsibility to not only ensure that you yourself act with integrity, but that your entire membership of your organization understands the value of integrity and acts with integrity as well. And aside from that, ethics and let's say models are also very important but unwritten parts in an organization, because in our compendiums or constitutions, the ethics and models of the organizations are never mentioned. But integrity is also about staying ethical when put in situations where being unethical or dishonest may actually benefit you personally or your organization. So this can go apply everywhere in AIESEC. So for example, to our exchange participants, our partners, or even to our own members. It might be, sometimes it might be very easy to be dishonest and even lie to your members so that you can get work done through them or get the most out of them. But in AIESEC, we don't do that. We always tell them the truth and we give them proper expectations before they take on a new or they engage in some work. So integrity would be about finding different ways to remain honest and at the same time remaining ethical while accomplishing what you want to accomplish with your team or organization. And so giving an example for that, I would say in a key part of AIESEC is delivering exchange standards to our exchange participants. So you guys might know there's around 16 exchange standards. So what we can do in some situations, we can accomplish the bare minimum just for the sake of doing that exchange. But in AIESEC, we don't do that. We actually go above and beyond, and we go out of our way to give proper fulfilling experience to our exchange participants that are coming into this country or going abroad to volunteer or work. So that is also what I think integrity is about.
Thank you, Kaneel, for explaining us the importance of integrity in an organization like AIESEC. All right, moving on. My next question is directed towards Pium. Pium, in your opinion, why is it important for a leader to understand integrity as a core leadership value?
Yeah. So then, when you consider when we consider the quality of integrity, our own organization AIESEC, you could see that that's one of the 6 AIESEC values that all the AIESEC members and our customers are expected to follow. And when we talk about leadership, it's always about working with various kind of people and various kind of teams as well. So again, if we look at certain teams and all those things, we could see if there is a certain problem or certain issue or misconflict, something like that. We could see the root cause of all those problems are tend to be something linked with integrity, or is something linked with being not honest with certain decisions and all those things. So that's why respecting the integrity comes really important towards the team and also to the leader. So that when the leader is working with a set of people, he can move on very smoothly with those people and different stakeholders as well. When in AIESEC also, we are mainly working with different stakeholders apart from our own members. So in working with those kind of external people and also our own members, it's really important to be a truthful person as the leader. So all kinds of possible problems and issues will be minimized for sure. So that's the main reason why the quality of integrity comes really important towards any team. So then again, so when we consider about team culture, so let's imagine there's a team leader and set of team members. It's always better that all the people are working with much clarity and they are working with they are proved to be trustworthy to each and every one of them. So a team culture would be always really nice and pleasant when the leader is working with integrity, so that all the followers, normally the followers of a team is looking towards the lead of the team and learning from him. So if the leader is working with integrity, for sure the members are also respecting that quality. So in that case, all the members of that particular team will definitely work with integrity, so that all the members will feel comfortable and they'll definitely enjoy what they do in that team. So that will be a really good value addition for a kind of team when working towards a common goal. Then the next fact is, as I mentioned before, when the leader is a trustworthy person, all the members are following the same path as the leader. So in that case, we can impact the society in much more larger scale. So that means when the leader becomes a person with much integrity, and if the leader is staying true to his values always, so that means he is definitely directly affecting many more people to be that kind of trustworthy persons. So in that sense, the leader is always supposed to inspire many more good leaders with integrity to the society. So that's the main kind of advantage when all the leaders are working with integrity, and that's why that quality of integrity becomes really important to a leader. Yeah.
Thank you, Pium, for yet again emphasizing on the importance of integrity in a leadership setting. My next question now is directed towards Kaneel, and it's a bit personal. So, Kaneel, can you give us an example of a situation that you tested your integrity?
Right. So this is somewhat of a difficult question to answer because, as you said, it's a personal story. So I would say a recent example that tested my integrity would be back in January this year, when one of my vice presidents resigned from his position, and I had to select a replacement for that. And so in the process, which took around, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks, I interviewed several different people. And when I talked with every single one of them, their biggest concern was whether they can manage this role of becoming a local committee vice president along with their academics. And as I'm sure everyone in this call knows, as Arfan and Pium knows as well, that becoming an LCVP or doing an LCVP role is not easy. And if you don't manage your time properly and if you don't manage your work properly, it can be very easy for your academics to suffer. So when these people ask me whether they can manage both an AIESEC and the academics together, it would have been very easy for me to just straight up lie to them and tell them that it won't be an issue and that AIESEC does not take a lot of time and it's very easy to manage with your other activities. And through saying this, I might have been able to get convince one of them to come on board to replace that position. But that is not what I did. For all of them, what I said that was that the role would be very difficult and it is time consuming and you have to invest a lot of time personally in order to succeed in this role. But as long as you manage it properly, you will be able to perform, balance both your AIESEC life as well as your personal life as well as your academic life together. So I think I didn't try to sugarcoat it to any of them. I didn't try to fairy dust all over it. I was honest with them and I gave them the proper expectation. And perhaps maybe even because of this, all three of the people that I ended up offering the position to ended up rejecting the position or they declined the role. But even though that position was left vacant and we had to look for other means to fill that particular JD, I think I managed to keep my personal integrity intact as well as the LC's integrity, because it's better to let's say lose someone after telling them the truth than to keep them on after telling them lies and sugarcoating everything to them.
Thank you, Kaneel, for sharing with us that very candid and yet truthful representation of how you practiced leadership in such times. So my next question is directed to Pium, and it's also on a personal note. So Pium, can you briefly explain a time when your integrity was challenged, and how did you make sure to avoid conflicting situations if there are several opposing ideas?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Arfan. So in my case, that is something totally not relevant towards AIESEC, and something about the academic life of our university when working as a local vice president last year and this year local president. So like in University of Moratuwa, like we are having quite a lot of kind of assessments, assignments, and all those things in every month. So it's kind of really hard to manage all those things, like especially after being appointed as a local committee vice president in January last year. So in the very first months, it was really hard to manage to make sure that all the assignments are submitted on time before the deadline. To manage all of those things seemed really uncomfortable at some times. But in that scenarios, like all of you may not know, we could take the really easy decision of, let's say, if it's about assignment or something like that, we can get the answers from one of our friends, and we can definitely submit those assignments rather than just completing those assignments by our own. So we like more of getting help from another person and making sure that we submit those assignments before the deadline. So those kind of action would be really easy, and those kind of action might be the go-to option for any kind of person. But at the same time, that's something I learned from AIESEC as well, following the AIESEC values, that we need to be honest with ourselves, and also we need to stay true to ourselves all the time. So in that scenario, I took the option that most of the people wouldn't have taken. So that's I thought in most of those kind of scenarios, I thought that I should not take the option of kind of copying or something like that. Like I didn't mind even failing those kind of assignments and all those things. And I try to manage all the things by myself, even it's about after the deadline or something like that. I didn't mind whether I couldn't be able to submit those assignments before the deadline. But somehow I tried to my best to manage all those things by myself, somehow learning by myself and doing all those kind of works. So yeah, that mainly happened due to the kind of really high academic workload that we are getting in the university. But staying true to ourselves is really important, and we should maintain that high spirits in not only in a university life or something like that, but in any kind of activities that we are supposed to do. It's really better if we can, if all of us can maintain those kind of spirits in order to make sure that we are practicing those values and we are setting examples for other persons as well. So yeah, that's the story of myself. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pium. And I'm pretty sure the audience that will be watching the podcast will definitely reflect upon what you said and understand a lot about the personal struggles, and also how integrity is demonstrated even in challenging times. All right. Going back to Kaneel, how does respecting integrity helps the relationship between leaders and followers to grow stronger while increasing the performances of the followers to excellence?
Right. So as I mentioned earlier in the first question, I think every single person in your team will be different. They will have different values, they will have different principles, and they will understand things differently. They will have different personalities, different social abilities, things like that. So when it comes to leading a very diverse team like that, it's important that you understand every single person's individual strengths and weaknesses, and you treat them accordingly. But at the same time, it's just as important that you treat everyone in the team equally and fairly. So that is, you cannot apply different rules for different people. If someone does something that is not right, he or she should be receiving the same repercussions as someone else that did the same thing. And aside from that, also, I think when it comes to integrity specifically, it's important that you be honest with your members or your team members, and that you don't lie to them. So something that I've noticed both when working personally and as well as professionally is that the more you're honest with your team members or with the people around you, the better it is. So as an LCP, especially, there's situations when, especially when it comes to bad news or demotivating news, where it's very compelling to hide that from your team, and that you don't want to tell it to your team, because you might be afraid that it will demotivate them and it will be difficult to keep the morale going. So even in situations like that, what I've noted is that it's better to tell them, even if it's bad news or demotivating news, it's better to tell them, Because that might have a negative impact short term. But in the long term, what I have noticed is that they will actually appreciate you for telling them the truth and being honest with them. And that in the long run, that will help them become better as well. Yeah, and as a team as a whole, the team will grow and they will learn to trust you more as a leader personally. And inside a team, a very strong personal belief of mine is openness. That is, every single person should know every single thing that's going on with every other person in the team. That can be their personal life or what they're doing inside the team. Everyone should be open to it. No information should be hid from someone else. Yes. So I think that's how in a team you can respect integrity. And if you do this properly, not only will you have a better relationship with your followers or your members, but your members will learn to trust you more and they will be more open towards you and they will help in making the team stronger as a whole.
Thank you, Kaneel, for sharing some good key practices that a good leader should follow. And I'm pretty sure the leaders in the audience that will be listening to the podcast will really benefit out of it. All right, going back to Pium. Pium, do you think that maintaining integrity helps a person to grow his internal values?
Yeah, so when we consider about the internal values rather than just about the quality of integrity, we could see almost all the elements of the internal values of a certain person are linked with integrity somehow. So that means being integrity, like following the quality of integrity, always plays a major role when it comes to developing the internal values of a person. So, and as I said also, integrity is something that we are used to value most, and definitely helps to grow any person in terms of their values. So, let's say that separate person is working towards a certain goal, and if that person is completely truthful about his work and his activities and engagement, we can always believe that he will give his maximum towards that. Towards his operations and all those things. So always he will try his level best to strive for the maximum, and he will always be really dedicated towards his goal. And that is also another interpersonal value, like being dedicated towards the goal. That's also a really important internal value, and that is always linked with the quality of integrity. And if we take another instance, like we always supposed to gradually learn to respect other people's opinion when we respect the quality of integrity. So that means when working in a team, it's always really important that all the people are well aware of the all the opinions of all the other people, and they are listening to the opinions of other people, and they are somehow respecting those ideas. So those kind of practices could be brought into the game if all the people are really trustworthy to every other member. So that's another significant part of the personal values of a person, which helps us to strive for the level best when we are working towards a certain goal. And in another case, like developing strong connections and mutual bonds with our colleagues is also connected with being honest and truthful. So likewise, most of the elements of the internal values of a person are always really attached with being honest and being truthful. So that's why integrity is really a good value that all the people should start following. And apart from that, another really important thing is that when a set of people are really honest about their work, they will definitely enjoy what they are doing, and basically they will start loving what they are doing. So that will definitely boost the outcome, and that will definitely provide the maximum efficiency from every one of the team members. And that's really how important those internal values towards the accomplishment of a team goal. And all those internal values are always linked with the quality of integrity, as I said. So that's how integrity can create a ripple effect in terms of personal values and developing a person in terms of their values. Yeah.
Thank you, Pium, for further reiterating and emphasizing on the topic at hand today, which is demonstrating integrity as a core leadership value. Right. Now we will be moving on to a very interesting and dynamic part of this podcast. So we will be going into the rapid fire round series, and we will be actually having the format will follow as such. So we will be giving two questions or two options for our guests, and they can select quickly and spontaneously what do they actually prefer. So the first person that we are going to go ahead with the rapid fire round is Mr. Kaneel Dias. So Kaneel, morning person or night person?
Definitely a nice person.
All right. Listen to music or read a book?
Music.
Okay. Texting or talking?
Definitely texting.
All right. Strategic or transformational?
I would say strategic.
Okay. Thinking or feeling?
Thinking.
And finally, being self-aware or being solution-oriented?
Would be being solution oriented.
Okay. Thank you, Kaneel, for being a strong sport and enjoying the rapid fire round. And now we'll move on to our next guest, Mr. Pium. Pium, so I'm going to ask you once again, I'm going to ask you two topics or two ideas, and you can exactly, very quickly, spontaneously say which you prefer. All right. Pium, drink tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Have a cat or have a dog?
Have a cat.
Interesting. Dawn or dusk?
Probably dawn.
All right. Judging or perceiving?
Proceed.
Being a world citizen or empowering others?
Definitely empowering others.
All right. Direct or conflict avoidant?
Conflict avoidance.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pium, for also being an incredible sport and enjoying the rapid fire round. So, as we have reached the very end of the podcast, I would like to once again thank my guests, Mr. Kaneel Dias, the local committee president of AIESEC in University of Colombo, term 2021, and Mr. Pium Pamuditha, local committee president of AIESEC in University of Moratuwa, term 2021. Indeed, in these challenging times, integrity is brought out by how we lead our teams and our people through uncertain times. And as two leaders of AIESEC in Sri Lanka, you have been demonstrating those values and you have been showing us the importance and serving as strong examples for us to walk this journey. And also, I would like to extend my heartiest gratitude to the National Showcasing team for allowing us to share ideas, reflect on thoughts on this amazing platform, which is the Leadership is Also About podcast. And a huge thank you to the team for setting this up. And on that note, I would like to end on the fact that demonstrating integrity is indeed a core leadership value. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Stay home, stay safe. See you in the next one.